okay, what questions do we need to get answered? I'm asking you, what question do you, like, I don't see it as what question needs to get answered. Like, last year was, how the hell did this offense go away like that?
The question I would have is what John Smoltz said, the approach. Do you need to change that approach going into next year?
But that means
Chipper said it, Smoltz said it. What's going on right now?
Are you changing your roster or are you changing the guy? Because you better hypnotize him.
That's the problem. You're going to have to change the approach overall with the guys on the team. Everything we've told you about, we need to adjust. But they're pros, Chris. They should be able to adjust, I would think. Because what they did last year, even before the injuries, like I said, we're never going to know if they stayed healthy, if these guys were going to come around. But Riley struggled. He was inconsistent. Yep. Acuña was inconsistent.
Michael Harris got hurt. He was out 50-plus games. Wasn't good when he first came back. Got better at the end.
And Sean Murphy, there are people that are saying, well, injuries could never get right this year. But he's been bad for a year and a half. Same deal with Arcia.
How did they win 89 games?
I don't know.
Oh, yeah, they pitched their ass.
Yeah, that's why. But this offensive approach, I think that's, if you're going to ask a question, do you think the offensive approach needs to change?
So then the real question is, were you satisfied with how this season didn't seem to progress in that area? Because that's the thing that bothered me. You couldn't figure out how to fight differently. You couldn't figure out how to come up with it's like an offensive coordinator, is it not? Look, why do you keep running the same thing? It's not working. We said it about Zach Robinson week 1. That just looks terrible. This is not working. What are you going to do about it?
And the question is, it's easier, I think, to make in-season adjustments when it comes to offense and football, obviously. Can you do that in baseball? In the middle of the year, can you reverse course? Or were they incapable of doing it?
They paid the price. Now you know you
Yeah, the same problems. Look, they took 2 out of 3 from the Royals, and we talked about it. They won those games, but they went 1 for 19 with runners in scoring position, and they struck out a lot. And if you do that in the postseason, especially with a lineup like this, you're done, and they're done.
You can win a game. It's hard to win a series if you can't win 4-2, 4-3. We found out last night 5-4. And, boy, that number, here's the other one. When they gave up 4 more runs, the only team worse than them were the White Sox.
What do I got, 11-60? Is that the right number? 11-60 when allowing 4+ runs, the Braves this year.
The White Sox were the only team in baseball. And by the way,
Sorry, I wrote it down. I can't read my own handwriting, so it was I apologize.
11. So we were 11. They won 8 games. You were 29th, and the only team behind you was the White Sox when you gave up 4 more runs. That's a terrible, terrible record.
And you could talk about the injuries, and rightfully so. 13 was the WAR, the wins above replacement, that was lost when you factor in all the injuries. If you're an analytics guy, you look to that. The Dodgers were second with 8. That was their WAR that they lost. So the fact that they won 89 games and made it into the postseason, yes, on one hand, you want to say, yeah, that's an accomplishment. That's quite the feat. But on the other hand, okay, now when you look at the bigger picture,
you knew how you had to win a couple of baseball games and you weren't able to do it.
What do you need to do? Because I think that problem, like I said, even when they were healthy, there was a problem there. I go back to what Chipper Jones said. I think Chipper said what a lot of people were thinking. The adjustments, the league has figured to a certain extent this team out offensively. What do you do now to counter that? And I think that's got to be a big part of the conversation this offseason.
The Padres by name don't sound like a team that wouldn't strike out. Did they have the fewest strikeouts in baseball? They might have had the fewest strikeouts.
Having a guy like Arias certainly is going to help those numbers.
But
that
again,
guy's amazing. Smoltz is right. Never mind striking out. The guy never swings and misses.
Less than 10% of his at-bats ended in a walk or a strikeout. So go look that up. The only thing he doesn't do, he doesn't score runs. I can't figure it out. No, I'm not kidding.
He's on base all the time. How's that possible?
I brought this up the other day. I think his biggest run total in his career is 83 runs. I don't even know how that happens. You're on base all the time. You won 3 batting titles. How are you not scoring 100 runs?
A couple of things to think about.
And he doesn't steal bases, by the way.
Going into next year, I don't think Acuña is going to play to start the year, and I think if he does play to start the year, he's going to be a DH. So you still have to think about, in the short term, what you're going to do in left field. I'm assuming Soler will be in right field, and assume as well that Michael Harris will be your leadoff hitter if Acuña can't go. What if Acuña is healthy? Does he go back to the leadoff spot? Because he's also a guy that told you he's not going to run with the reckless abandon that he ran with in his career.
Kyle Schwarber doesn't run.
Is he more comfortable then atop that lineup?
Runs. And Ohtani will never steal 50 again. Not when he starts pitching.
There's no reason for him to steal 50.
No,
he did it.
That's it.
I climbed the mountain. It's like climbing Everest. You climbed it. You don't have to climb it again.
You're just tempting the fates. You're tempting the fates at that point. The odds aren't good that you're going to do it twice.
But you're talking about an upgrade possibly at shortstop. You're talking about a left field. You're talking about starters with most likely Max Fried and Charlie Morton leaving. So, I mean, if you're going to ask questions, they're not going to give you definitive answers, but those are the questions maybe you put forth as well.
And the other thing that you can find yourself frustrated with is both Detroit and Kansas City moving on. They had the same opportunities as you, got to win 2 out of 3, and they both did it. What if Ronald Acuña, you believe at some point this offseason, he's going to need to DH for a little bit longer? Then I got nothing to do with Marcell Ozuna unless I put him in left field. For a team, boy, this is a terrible question. For a team that was lacking offense, is there a possibility that you trade Marcell Ozuna and his $16 million deal and Jorge Soler?
It's not my fault.
Again, I'm not comparing the two because Marcell Ozuna has done the job. But what if Ronald has to DH for a month? Am I going to tell Marcell Ozuna, can you lose 15?
Because he's going to have to.
And can I put you out in left field?
I mean, that might be part of the plan, Chris. Again, another good question to ask. The way he's built right now, I mean, he knew he was going to be a DH.
No doubt.
He's going to have to cut some weight.
And will
that affect his swing? I don't know.
He did it 162 times. He went to the post. Now, it's a limited post, but he did go to the post the whole season. I don't know what you're going to do with Soler unless you're going to make him a better right fielder. Because you have to make him a better right fielder.
I'll tell you who I love, that catcher for the Padres. And I know I haven't seen him play all year, but that guy, he recognized. I'll tell you, this is what you want from a catcher.
When Musgrove had 4 hits and 4 home runs against him?
That guy at the plate. But then he knew right away something was going on with Musgrove. You saw it because he went out there before Musgrove did anything when he left that game in the 4th inning last night.
And they're going to probably have to deal in a world as they move on without him. Dylan Cease now, guess what? We got you to be a stud. We got Michael King. We don't have 3. We have 2 now. Right, and Darvish might come out of the bullpen and be a starter again.
I'm going to ask you about another name as far as a stopgap in the rotation.
Please. Remember, the Tigers just won with a 26-man payroll of $18.8 million. Don't get me on money. Go ahead.
Alex Wood. I know he had surgery. He was pitching for the A's. Can he give you, a few innings as a 4th or 5th starter at
I'm going back
a fraction of the price?
I'm going back to the 4th and 5th starter thing. That's not my problem.
Well, I mean, you're going to have to fill out the rotation.
I know. Oh, somebody's got to, I do know a question I would ask. What's going on with Ian Anderson?
Did he upset somebody?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, that would be a legitimate question. Now, they told me why they didn't bring him up. He didn't pitch in the majors this year. Is Ian Anderson going to be in spring training with you guys? And is there a chance that you'd say right now, if you lose Freedom Morton, they'll never admit to losing Freedom Morton as early as tomorrow. But if you do, is Ian Anderson in the plans? Because he didn't look like he was in the plans this year.
I don't understand it. It makes no sense. And again, we can't really belabor the fact because they couldn't score runs anyway. Yeah. But it's very strange what they did with A.J. Smith-Shawver.
Why did you bring up Alex Wood?
I was just looking at some free agent names last night. I was doing, as Buck likes to say, Chris, a deep dive into free agent pitchers out there. And Alex Wood was one of those free agent pitchers. And I started to peruse a little bit. Yeah. And I know that he pitched for the A's last year, and I know that he got hurt. Yeah. And so I just figured, you bring him in.
How many starts has he made in the last couple of years?
Not a lot.
Not a lot. He's not an answer.
But hopefully he's a guy that, at the back of the rotation.
Bring him back home.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't want him. I like him. I like him a lot. I'm sorry. If the Wood family is listening, and they might.
As of today, a day after you've been eliminated.
Yeah, I can't even think about Alex.
You just put out a bunch of names right now. They're thinking about that across the street.
I know.
I've been thinking about it all year.
I can't do it today. I think you pushed me to a brink here by bringing up Alex Wood.
Now I've
let me tell you something. I will say this. Of all the names that I thought you were going to bring up, Alex Wood was not on my bingo card.
Yeah, it was just one of the names that I saw. I asked you about Alex Bregman. He most likely can't play shortstop, so there's not really a place for him here. And he's a Scott Boras guy, and I don't really know if anybody wants to deal with Scott Boras inside of the Braves organization.
Well, there's been a number, and supposedly it's going to be 150. He got hot. He got better at the end of the year. Bregman didn't have a great year for a while. Willie Adames is the guy. If you're going to tell me I'm upgrading at shortstop or I'm upgrading in left field.
What's it going to cost you?
Well, I saw Dansby Swanson get, 140? Whatever the hell it was. The shortstop thing has gone up, up. He's 29. Do I think he's a $200 million player? Yeah, might be.
Quite the investment. Although the guy does have over 30 home runs and over 100 RBIs.
He's done something that only 4 shortstops have done. He had a historical season this year.
So you're going to have to pay. Alex Wood started 9 games last year.
Yeah.
So.
No. What did he start the year before that? My guess is he didn't start 15 the year before that.
I'm not really sure.
Yeah, you shouldn't have done it.
I don't have those numbers.
You shouldn't have done it.
We're just, listen.
You're lucky I'm tired. I would have yelled at you.
I know. It's like Apollo 13. I got a bunch of names in a box. I'm just dumping them right now. on the table. I'm not committing to anything. When we come back, a big test for a young player tonight at Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Justin Verlander for a year?
That's another name. It's funny you say that I wrote down. Is he willing to come in for a year to pitch for the Braves? Not a bad idea, at least to have that conversation.
Yeah, he was bad, though.
Yeah, he was.
They didn't even put him on the roster.
Which isn't a good sign. No. So maybe it's Alex Wood and Justin Verlander. They're one and the same now. I don't know.
How about Yordan Alvarez? I'll take him.
Again,
we're listing.
We're throwing out names. That's all we're doing. We'll talk about the big test tonight. It's game night for the Falcons and Buccaneers, and we'll touch on it next here on Cellini and Dimino, The Fan, 680, 93.7 FM, and for free, The Fan app.
The Fan is the official sports talk station of your Georgia Bulldogs. So for the best coverage from Athens to Atlanta, there's nowhere else to be. That means Kirby's press conference Monday afternoons, Matt Stinchcomb 3 days a week, plus Buck